From a previous video, we learned that payer agreements are a contractual agreement between a provider and a payer. They are important because they ensure proper reimbursement to providers for the care they provide to patients that are covered under a specified payer. These contracts can be quite specific for good reason. Many benefits become accessible to providers, payers, and patients alike through payer agreements. Let's go over some of those. According to a Quora thread, the average time it takes for a provider to receive payment is around 30 days. Of course, there are a lot of different factors that come into play, but we can look at this average and say about a month. Payer agreements aid in making sure providers get paid as soon as possible. They set clear expectations and guidelines for the healthcare provider's proper and timely reimbursement. All the terms and conditions of the contract are laid out on the table and agreed upon not only by the provider, but also the payer and legal counsel. There is a mutual understood expectation for both parties to follow in the claim submission and billing process. Communication is coming from both sides if issues were to arise. Payer agreements help ensure that the quality of care patients are receiving is at a certain standard. Setting those standards for the quality of care that patients receive promotes not only the well-being of the patients, but also improves how a healthcare provider operates their practice as well. The structure of day-to-day functions are then strengthened. Payer agreements upkeep positive, beneficial relationships between payers and providers. Negotiated reimbursement rates give providers an accurate idea of what they will receive for providing specific services or offering. Having an estimated revenue helps providers manage their costs effectively. If a provider does not have reimbursement rates from a payer agreement, then they would not know how much money they are getting back. Not knowing what you're going to be reimbursed for can lead to issues with planning and budgeting. There isn't a solid foundation for how to price services. Payer agreements also aid in satisfying compliance requirements. Failing to be in compliance can lead to fines, a bad reputation, potentially jail time, and even more. I won't go on with the doom and gloom because I think you get the point by now. Making sure your operations, policies, and procedures are following government-mandated guidelines is a must. Within payer agreements, there are requirements for compliance in regards to regulatory standards, coding practices, and documentation requirements. On average, a healthcare provider has between 16 and 20 payer contracts. Payer contracts diversify revenue streams while also shedding more insight on the amount of money being reimbursed to providers. Having multiple payer contracts that are negotiated with favorable terms help providers to bring in more than one stream of revenue. The saying, "Don't put all your eggs in one basket," applies right here. Overall, payer agreements set standards that are compliant and mitigate financial risks. They can be quite specific for good reason. The clarity within the contract sets clear expectations and standards for how both parties should operate. I think it's safe to say that this video is adjourned. If you'd like to learn more about payer agreements and their benefits, reach out to eTactics. And you already made it this far into the video, so you might as well like it, share it, and comment below.